The passage this week is from the prophet Zephaniah. Sing for joy, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. The Lord has taken away your punishment. He has turned back your enemy. Israel's king, the Lord, is among you. No longer will you fear any harm. On that day they will say to Jerusalem, do not fear, O Zion. Do not let your hands fall limp. The Lord your God is among you. He is mighty to save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. I love this chapter because it shows the heart of God is not just to save and restore his people, but to bring them to a place of rest where they can receive his love and hear his voice rejoicing over them in singing. I want to talk today about that place of rest in prayer, of encountering God in the quiet place and letting him change us. I started a journey of seeking God in the quiet in 2020 when I took the step of booking on an 8-day silent retreat. It felt like a radical step at the time, as I'd never done anything more than a day before, but I went because I wanted to meet God and hear from him, and I thought the silence would help me listen better. I'd planned to spend a lot of the time reading, so it was a shock when my spiritual director told me to slow down and do nothing, or almost nothing. It was hard slowing down at first, and as I walked around the beautiful gardens and sat blinking in the sunshine, feeling idle, I wondered what it was that God was doing. It took me a while, but as I gradually settled into a posture of resting and waiting, trusting and listening, I became aware of the Spirit of God breaking into my thoughts very simply and tenderly. And while none of the questions I'd come with were answered, I think God has a sense of humour, I did hear from him and encounter him in an extraordinary way during that time. Not everyone has the luxury of an 8-day retreat. Maybe you don't even have the luxury of a day one, but we can all find some time to be alone with God in the quiet. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus invites his disciples to take a break away from the crowds in an invitation that might speak to you as it does to me. Because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Your quiet place doesn't have to be your room, but any quiet safe spot you can be with God in private. Some of my favourite places to go are local gardens and parks. Ideally, I'll go on a day I can take as long as I want to, but some days it might be as short as a half-hour lunch break. It might seem like an extravagance, but time spent with God is never wasted. If it's hard for you to find time alone, have a conversation with friends and family about helping you ring-fence some time if you can. Once you've found that quiet place and a time to go there, give God your undivided attention. Turn your phone off if it's a temptation to check it. Music might be helpful in the beginning, but resist the urge to fill all of the silence with music, because something special happens in the place of waiting quietly without distractions. It may take hours, or it may take days, but as we hold that posture of resting and waiting, trusting and listening, we open up a space to get more in touch with God's heart and with ours. Don't worry if you encounter some internal resistance, especially at the start. Outward rest and stillness has a way of exposing inner restlessness in us. The Bible encourages us to pour out our hearts to God, not because he doesn't know what's in them already, but because there's great value in bringing our whole selves to him and not seeking to hide any part of us. I suspect there are as many ways of filling this quiet time as there are people, but I usually start by speaking to God about whatever's on my mind in a free-flowing way, like I would with a friend, because he is the friend who knows us best and loves us most. Then I move on to waiting, resting, listening, jotting down thoughts if and when they occur to me, or making a note of any particular questions I've asked him. I often hear him speaking to me through the Bible, so I'll have a copy close to me, or look up texts that come to mind on my phone. Jesus told us to find a private place and pray to our Father in heaven who's unseen, and we trust that he's there and close to us, even when we can't see or feel him. Just the act of holding the space is a gift to God, and God will honour that. Even on the days I don't hear from him clearly or I get distracted, I know it's worth persisting with, as it's in the quiet place that we find the joy and strength to weather the storms when they come. On a good day, I move closer to contemplation, to enjoying God and resting with him and in him. It's then I think I catch a little of the Father's song over us. When you discover him in the quiet place, and when you hear him singing over you, you may even find yourself singing your own song back to him. As St. Augustine said, we come to God not by navigation, but by love.